So it happened right here. Okay, not here, but in this position. It all began with a phone call from my psychiatrist. I was so special that I had a professional for my brain chemistry. Well, I still do, but that's beside the point. The crux of the matter is that I was sitting there just like so, playing just like this with my cat. And all of a sudden, I get a phone call from this psychiatrist who asks me a few questions. Hey, how you doing? Did you eat breakfast this morning? How have you been since your hospital stay? The basics. It then became clear to me that something was afoot. Nah, I'm totally kidding. She just called to tell me I have bipolar. Come on, it's not like I had no idea. Since lying my way out of the hospital, I laundered $30,000 and spent $15,000 of it in under a week. Not to mention the 17 nudes I posted on Instagram that night. And don't even get me started on the group chat I made with my exes asking them what they have in common. True stories. So I withheld all of this new information from my psychiatrist because transparently, she didn't need to know that I was hooking up with a random guy from a smoke shop. All she needed to do was prescribe me medications that stopped me from being the town slut. And that she did. My hospital visit initially began with me screaming at the nurses that I wanted a prescription of Adderall, but it ended with me picking up a mood stabilizer and antipsychotic from CVS for a diagnosis that was completely foreign to me. I mean, I knew something was wrong with me, like, my whole life. I just couldn't put my finger on it. It was like always on the tip of my tongue, like finding a needle in a haystack. Sometimes when you don't have a name for what you're experiencing, it's hard to resonate with and cope with your reality. When you put a label on a situation, it brings clarity. For me, on that day, it was easy for me to understand what happened to me during my manic episode because I was told that it was something that happened before. That's right, folks. I'm not special. There are millions of others around the world, 46 million to be exact, who are just like me. I'm sure if you've watched this far in the video, you're probably bipolar. Come on, who actually cares enough about our diagnosis to learn from a bipolar slut like me? If you're not bipolar, then you better not be my therapist because this video will certainly raise a few questions during our next session. Just knowing that what I experienced could be categorized clinically as a cause and effect relationship was soothing enough for me. The root cause? Where do I even begin? With the genetic predisposition on my paternal side or with the childhood trauma? You heard that right. Bipolar can be genetic or caused by trauma. And what a treat for me to get both. How does it feel to be a victim of my circumstances? Ask my entitlement complex. Since, my entire childhood was stolen from me, I've always felt like I'm practically owed success and respect from everyone. I choose to call it main character syndrome, which is really what mania is. You replicate behaviors of a narcissist for however long your body is unstable for, until your mind can't take it anymore and then shame swallows you up in a blanket of guilt. But I wasn't at a depressive point. Yet. No, surely not the same day I was diagnosed. You see, my day had only just begun, and I had some explaining to do. So I FaceTimed my parents and kindly disclosed my diagnosis. I did everything in my power to take the high road because just the week prior, my dad had called me screaming and yelling that I spent so much on DoorDash. Don't ask why he still had access to my bank account. Catholic military family things. Next, the apology tour continued with waves of friends I had affected. I met one friend on the lawn at my university where we had a picnic. I basically explained why I broke into her boyfriend's apartment to do coke off his dining room table and called her ex over to hook up. Bipolar mania is indescribably promiscuous and filled with sexploits. I found that manic people are motivated by three things: sex, spending, success. When I was manic, I strove for all three at the same time, which is no wonder why I coordinated a casting couch situation, which was a part of the apology tour as well. My friend from college came over to hang out, and I jumped on a sensuous phone call with someone who DM'd me for posting those nudes online. They offered to fly me to New York City for an in-person shoot with a payout of $50,000. I couldn't say no. Naturally, I had to tell my acting friends, so I hijacked the next Zoom class to disclose the gig. I didn't get to apologize for that one because moments later the acting coach booted me from the class.
Did you end up going to NYC for the shoot?
Transparently, I cannot continue. I don't remember the way I was diagnosed with bipolar. Reportedly, 62% of bipolar patients fail to accurately recall events in or immediately surrounding their manic episodes, and 70% of statistics are made up on the spot.